What up, dudes? We're going to be hitting up quadratics 2, which is basically we're going to be exploring the function that has the form ax squared plus c. Now, I know that you're thinking, hey, wait a second, isn't quadratic ax squared plus bx plus c? Yes, but for now, the b is too advanced for us to really think about, so we're just dealing with what if b were equal to 0, we have ax squared plus c. Alright, so check this out. Here's the way we're going to look at this thing. We have a parent function x squared. Now, I'm going to make a little table for you. You've already graphed this in the previous homeworks before. So this is simply 4. Oops, this thing is way too big. I'm going to make that smaller. There we go. That's 4. That's 1. That would be 0. This is 1. And that's 4 as well. If I were to graph this, this would be 0, 0, 1, 1, negative 1, 1, 2, 4. So that would go 4 right here. And here, and this is our regular parabola. Let's talk about the domain and the range. I talked to you about domain and range when we were talking about lines, but this time we're talking about parabolas. The domain in this case is what are the values of x that is allowed, and in this case, x can be any number. If you give me any number of x, I will give you any number. I'll give you the corresponding y. Now, granted, it might take me a little bit of time to figure out, like, for example, if you give me x equals 4,138, I would have to figure out what 4,138 squared is and then tell you that y value. Now, any x value is allowed so long as it's a number, so we basically say that this is all real numbers. The domain is what are the x values allowed to be. Now, contrary to lines, we actually didn't really talk about range because it didn't really make sense when it talked about range, but in this case it does. The question it's asking is, what are the y values allowed to be? Now, in this case, I guess the question I need to ask you is y allowed to be a negative number? Or what values is it impossible, what heights will I ever get? So all of my solutions to the parabola is going to be on this shape. Will there ever be a y value that is negative in this particular case? And the answer is no. My y will never come out negative because it doesn't matter what x value you give me, I will never get a negative y value because anything times itself is going to be a positive number. So the way you would describe the range of this thing, you would say is y is bigger than or equal to 0. And that would be the range, or all positive values. Let's read what they have here and we'll comment on that. F of x equals x squared is called an even function because the graph has the same positive heights on both the left and right side of the y-axis, making the y-axis the line of symmetry. Remember we talked about the axis of symmetry or the line of symmetry. In other words, the height of the negative x value is the same as the height of the corresponding positive x value. So basically it's saying that negative x equals negative 2 gives me 4, which is the same as x equals positive 2. This is called a parabola. It is a U-shaped looking thing.